everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're going to try to keep this at 30 to 40 minutes because we really respect your time and we appreciate your showing up for us. We would love if you would post in the chat if you currently take Juice Plus or if you are affiliated with the Juice Plus company somehow. And we're going to ask you at the end of the call if you've come across some ahas or some information that you want to expand on. We'll do a short Q&A, but then we're going to ask you to go back to the person who invited you to the call. So real quick, my name is April. I live in Tucson, Arizona. I am a transplant from Florida. And we started eating Juice Plus about 21 years ago, when at the time my 6.5-year-old son was diagnosed with pediatric bone cancer. And he was super sick. It was very scary. And we were looking for alternative ways to amp up his nutrition. Came across a doctor who recommended Juice Plus. I'm happy to say we started taking it in the hospital during treatment, and we've never missed a day. Our entire family takes it, and my 98.5-year-old mom swears it's why she's made it to 98.5 years old. So I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight, Kristin. Kristin is a registered dietitian and a personal trainer. She's also right here in Arizona. Kristin grew up in Boise, Idaho, and attended college at Oregon State University, where she competed for the top 10 ranked gymnastics team. After receiving her degree in dietetics, she completed a dietetic internship at Barnes Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. She worked in clinical dietetics for 10 years and then took a break to raise her 3 boys, whom she had with her husband, Charlie. Their family moved around quite a bit as Charlie flew F-15s for the United States Air Force. However, they arrived at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in 2012, right here in Tucson, and decided to stay when Charlie retired in 2017. About this same time, Kristin started her own business, Daily Dose Fitness and Nutrition, and partnered with the Juice Plus company. Kristin now helps people who are looking to regain their health and vitality. Welcome, Kristin. We're excited to hear what you have to teach us.
Well, awesome. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much, April, for the nice introduction. I'm excited to be here tonight and talk about a health journey that has changed my life, my family's life, and of so many people that I love and care about. It's a journey that I think is doable for anybody at any stage of life. And as a dietitian, I'm just super passionate about it. I'm assuming you're here tonight because you're hoping to gain some nugget of information that you can put to use tomorrow morning, something that will motivate you to take the next step to increase more than just your lifespan. Because let's face it, living a long life is not that great if you're not living well. So what I'm really hoping is to inspire action that will improve your health span. My hope is that I can leave you with a clear path for the next step in your health journey. And I'm going to start by looking at some US health statistics, then examine steps that you might take to begin your own health journey. My first question is, why do we even need a health journey? And I know it's a personal question and everyone has their own reason or reasons, but I want to share a couple of health statistics that might bring your personal reason into focus. So chronic illness and chronic disease is something that I'm sure all of us have some connection to. Whether you're affected or you know somebody who is affected, the fact is that 6 in 10 of us have one chronic illness and 4 in 10 have 2 or more chronic illnesses. And chronic illness or chronic disease is any condition lasting more than a year. And although you can see it's super prevalent, I'm here to tell you that it is not normal. What you may not know is that chronic disease is the leading cause of death and disability in our country. And the most prevalent chronic diseases in our country are heart disease, which is the leading cause of death in the US, cancer, the second leading cause of death, diabetes, which affects 37 million Americans and 20% don't even know they have it. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, which is a group of lung diseases that includes asthma and bronchitis. Stroke, a sudden loss of brain function due to a blockage or burst blood vessel in the brain. Alzheimer's, a progressive brain disorder that causes memory loss and other cognitive decline and affects 9% of those over the age of 65 years old and 1/3 of those over 85 years old. and chronic kidney disease, which is a condition that damages the kidney's ability to filter waste from the blood. So other chronic diseases include autoimmune disease, inflammatory bowel disease, hypertension or high blood pressure, which is a major risk factor for heart attack, heart disease, and stroke, arthritis, a condition that affects our joints, and obesity, which is a major risk factor for other chronic diseases. So this isn't a complete list, but I think think for a moment of either yourself or somebody that you know that has one of these conditions. Chronic disease not only causes death and disability, but it steals our joy and robs us of our hopes and dreams. Because if we're sick, really the only dream we can have is to be well. And chronic disease isn't cheap. So as you can see by this slide, the US spends about twice as much on healthcare as other large wealthy countries. And you would think with the amount of money that we spend, we would at least rank with other countries when it comes to health outcomes. But that is far from the case. In fact, the United States has the poorest health outcomes when compared to large, wealthy countries. In our country, we tend to use medications as a first line of treatment for most medical problems. Polypharmacy, which is the use of 5 or more medications at the same time, affects 37% of the general population and 65% of those over 65 years old. What's the problem with polypharmacy? Well, there's many complications. One is increased potential for taking medications incorrectly because some medications need to be taken with food, others need to be taken without food, some need to be taken alone. There's drug-drug interactions. Some drugs make other drugs not as effective or too potent. There's drug-disease interactions, like some drugs that can cause blood sugar to increase, increasing the need for more medication to lower the blood sugar. And then you get cognitive impairment that increases as the number of medications increases. And with the cognitive impairment or independent of cognitive impairment, we see increased in falls and hospitalizations when it comes to polypharmacy. And finally, prescribing errors gets tricky, or prescribing errors occurs more often. And it gets tricky when we have many doctors prescribing many different medications. So if we're not talking about medications, how are we going to treat chronic disease? And there's definitely a role for healthcare providers and even medicine, but we can't use these tools to lessen the role that we play in our own health. Our healthcare system is taxed, and it's becoming increasingly focused on sick care versus well care. It's not only a good thing to practice healthy habits, but it's really becoming vital that we do so if we want to prevent chronic illness and increase our lifespan, but more importantly, increase our health span. So there's 6 habits that have a huge impact on improving our health span. And the first 3 habits are habits that we should work to increase. And we're going to start with nutrition, where according to the CDC, 90%, I'll say that one more time, and I'm going to say it a lot more times actually, but 90% of Americans are not eating the recommended number of servings of fruits and vegetables daily. 41.9% of Americans are considered obese. 80% of Americans don't get enough exercise, and 35% of Americans are getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night. Poor sleep is not only linked to chronic health conditions and stroke, and heart attack and hypertension, but it also affects appetite hormones that increase hunger and calorie consumption.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Uh,
How many Americans are fat again, or the obesity? What was the obesity rate of Americans again?
41.9%. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, so obesity is markedly increased for those who get less than 7 hours of sleep. Now for 3 habits that we should work to decrease or eliminate. Chronic stress has a significant impact on the immune system that ultimately manifests in illness. It raises catecholamine and suppressor T cell levels, which suppress the immune system. In 2022, 19.8% reported tobacco product use, with 11.6 reporting current cigarette smoking. The good news is that we are seeing smoking rates decrease, but we still have more than 28 million people smoking, and it continues to be one of the biggest causes of preventable disease. And drinking. Nearly 1 in 3 adults is an excessive drinker, and that is defined as drinking more than 8 drinks a week if you're a woman, or more than 15 drinks a week if you're a man. And most of them binge drink on many occasions, which is defined as consuming more than 4 drinks on one occasion for a woman and 5 for men. In addition, 1 in 30 adults is classified as alcohol dependent. The CDC estimates that eliminating 3 risk factors, poor diet, inactivity, and smoking, would prevent 80% of heart disease and stroke, 80% of type 2 diabetes, and 40% of cancer. And I understand that this is a bit optimistic, as eliminating these risk factors may be a bit idealistic, but think what we could do if we could even make a dent in improving these risk factors. And since I'm a dietitian, I'm going to spend most of the rest of the time talking about what a healthy diet can do for us, which brings me to this little girl right here. The girl who was a smart, athletic, seemingly well-nourished, healthy child who at the young age of 6 was diagnosed with her first chronic disease, an autoimmune disease called psoriasis. And although psoriasis may be benign, it's painful, it's embarrassing, it increases the risk of obesity, depression, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease, and it comes with a projected decreased lifespan. This girl would take medications every day for the next 43 years in a poor attempt to manage her symptoms. So the young woman in the middle, same girl, she was a Division I gymnast who was healthy and strong, in addition to being an honor student with the highest team GPA. She also had 5 surgeries in the 4 years at college. She had chronic back pain, ankle pain, shin splints, and stress fractures. She used Motrin daily, and which, along with a less than ideal diet, resulted in anemia. And in addition to her psoriasis, her psoriasis was continued to be terrible and poorly controlled, and she went on to develop a pretty severe depression. The grown woman on the right is involved in triathlons and was in great physical shape despite being in perimenopause and approaching 50. But what you don't see are the 3 allergy medications that she's begun taking along with her daily psoriasis medications. She has chronic back pain, and due to all those college surgeries, is facing an eventual knee replacement. Throughout this journey, this girl, this college athlete, and this middle-aged woman was offered lots of medications and surgeries, many of those necessary, but at no time did a doctor offer hope with nutrition and lifestyle. If you think about it, it's really not that unbelievable, as I know that most doctors receive very little nutrition education in their training, and most of the nutrition education that they do receive is focused around specific guidelines for disease states, like how many carbohydrates a person with diabetes should have at breakfast, or how much protein should someone with end-stage kidney disease have. Even as a clinical dietitian, nutrition to improve health span was really undervalued. We were more concerned with getting people healthy enough to leave the hospital, and very rarely saw patients after discharge, even when we recommended outpatient follow-up. I'm of the belief now that regardless of a healthcare system that has many knowledgeable doctors that can extend our lifespan, extending our health span is largely our own responsibility. We're going to have to make time to become educated, the time to do the work it requires, like making healthy meals or doing daily exercise. And we're also going to have to make some financial investments, whether that means gym memberships, spending money on the grocery store to ensure we have plenty of produce. But as someone who has counseled a lot of people, these investments are so much better than the investments required when one is dealing with 1 or more chronic illnesses. So where do we start when we decide to make a lifestyle change? Many people start with exercise, and as a personal trainer, I think this is great. We need to move our bodies more, and particularly as we get older, we need to be incorporating strength training into our exercise plan. As a dietitian, however, I believe we can't ignore the idea that fruits and vegetables are the foundation of good health, and to improve our long-term health and our health span, we must work to improve the statistics that 90% of us are not getting enough. And why is that? Because the nutrition in fruits and vegetables decreases chronic inflammation, and inflammation is the root cause of all chronic disease. Fruits and vegetables give the liver the nutrition it needs to get rid of toxins, and when the body's toxic load is decreased, inflammation is decreased. Fruits and vegetables also decrease oxidative stress. Think of our body as a machine equipped with an internal campfire. And as our body turns our food into energy, it keeps that campfire running and provides us with the energy we need to live. Just like a wood-burning campfire, however, our internal campfire creates smoke and embers. And in our body, these are called free radicals. Free radicals are oxygen-containing molecules with an uneven number of electrons. And as these unstable molecules bump into each other, they hit tissues and cells, and they damage fatty tissue, DNA, and protein, and cause inflammation, the precursor to chronic disease. Fruits and vegetables contain antioxidants, which donate an electron to these unstable molecules without becoming unstable themselves. The fiber in fruits and vegetables provides food for the good bacteria in our gut, and we're learning so much about the microbiome. It's a whole other talk, and I'm not going to get into it too much here, but the more good bacteria we have in our gut, the healthier we are going to be. And finally, fruits and vegetables support a healthy weight. And because weight loss is a part of so many people's plan to improve their health span, I want to spend a few minutes talking about how fruits and vegetables assist with weight loss. Part of weight management and weight loss depends on the toxic load in our body. Toxins are everywhere. They're in the air, they're in the water, the soil, plastics, household cleaners, and the products we put on and in our body. Toxins are primarily fat soluble, and in order to get them out of our body, they have to be converted to a water soluble form. Fruits and vegetables provide the substances for this to happen. So if you lose weight by burning calories through diet and exercise, but lack fruits and vegetables to convert the fat-soluble toxins to a water-soluble form, the weight comes off, but the toxins remain. This is shown in the top part of the slide, and those remaining toxins not only contribute to inflammation when they run rogue in the body without the protection the fat provides, but they also seek fat to wrap themselves back up into or back up in, resulting in rebound weight gain. The scenario in the bottom part of the slide is different in that this person may be using diet and exercise, but is also supporting their efforts with plenty of fruits and vegetables, which allows the conversion of the fat-soluble toxins to a water-soluble form so that the toxins can be excreted from the body. So then there's no need for the body to go on a fat-seeking mission. It's a much more effective way to get rid of fat and keep it off. So how much is enough? I hope you're now seeing that we can do a lot of good by eating more fruits and vegetables. But like I said earlier, 90% of us aren't getting enough, and what we are getting isn't as nutritious as it was 50 years ago. And this is due to a lot of factors, including nutrient depletion of our soil, produce being harvested before it reaches its peak ripeness when the nutritional value is maximized, and shipping produce thousands of miles before it's sold. When I first started working as a dietitian, we were telling people to eat 5 a day. It's now thought that someone in good health with no chronic health conditions needs about 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, while someone with chronic disease or athletes may need 13 or more. And why is this? Well, illness and activity increase inflammation and oxidative stress. More oxidative stress requires more antioxidants to neutralize the free radicals, and the foods highest in antioxidants are fruits and vegetables. Think about how many servings you've had today. Were you close? It's also worth mentioning that it's not enough to have just enough servings of fruits and vegetables a day, but you need to have a wide variety. Each fruit and vegetable has a unique set of chemicals called phytochemicals or phytonutrients, and a wide variety of phytonutrients is needed to keep the body running smoothly. So it really is important to eat the rainbow. And I'm not talking about Skittles. All right. So in 2015, I was introduced to something that changed the way I thought about my family's health, as well as the way that I practice dietetics. I was introduced to a product called Juice Plus, which is basically dried fruits and vegetables that come in a capsule, a chewable, or a drinkable form. And when I say fruits and vegetables, I'm not talking about the juice. I'm talking about whole produce with peels and seeds when possible. I'm talking about acerola cherry, dates, cabbage, spinach, kale, bilberry, blackcurrant, and cranberry nutrition in your body every single day. And I don't know about you, but I've eaten a bilberry never. And I have cranberries once a year at Thanksgiving. But I get that nutrition in my body every single day. Juice Plus is not a vitamin, mineral supplement. It is functional food. It's made from non-GMO produce that is mashed into a slurry and then dried at a low temperature. And this preserves the nutrition in it. The powders that result are then encapsulated, put into chewables, or made into a powder that can be added to water for a delicious drink. I love that the product is NSF certified, meaning it's third-party tested for purity. But I love it most of all because as someone that really believes in science and loves science, I love that this product is researched. Over 40 clinical studies have been published in peer-reviewed journals showing that it builds our body and conditions our physiology. One of my favorite studies was done in 2017, and it looked at polyphenols. Polyphenols. Polyphenols are plant nutrients that have beneficial effects on cardiovascular health and oxidative stress. This was a one-day study. It was done on 20 subjects who for a 2-week period before the test had no supplements, dietetic products, drugs, or medicines, and they had a 2-day low polyphenol diet right before the trial. They had baseline blood samples drawn, and then they were given a half a dose of Juice Plus, 1 fruit, 1 vegetable, and 1 berry capsule, followed by blood tests at 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, and 10 hours. The researchers were able to find 20 polyphenols that were in Juice Plus in the blood samples at different times, suggesting that some of the polyphenols were absorbed in the small intestine and some were absorbed further down in the gastrointestinal tract. But the really interesting thing is that polyphenols that aren't in Juice Plus started showing up, suggesting that the body converted the polyphenols from Juice Plus into polyphenols. It also suggests that the polyphenols from Juice Plus help to nourish the microbiome. In 2015, I became my first client, and after a year of consistently taking it, I couldn't deny that my experience mirrored the research on the product. I became a partner with the company and knew this would be something I could offer my clients, especially with the knowledge that 90% of them are not getting enough in their diet. The fruit, vegetable, and berry essentials are the signature product, but I want to mention some of the other amazing products very briefly. The Omega Blend Essentials are unique from other omega supplements because they're plant-based instead of containing fish oil and contain not only omega-3, but omega-3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. Another awesome thing is that the vegan capsules are cold fused so the oils don't become oxidized. The 41st Juice Plus study was done on the omegas in 2020 and showed they increased the omega index, which is significant because a higher omega index is associated with a reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, improved cognitive function, and maintenance of normal vision. Juice Plus has 2 plant-based protein powders. Both are vegan. Complete has 13 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber, which helps to stabilize blood sugars and provide food for the good bacteria in the gut. It's a prebiotic. The Perform is our newer protein powder with 25 grams of protein per serving and also contains ingredients to support performance and recovery. I like the trial that was published in Gynecologic Oncology that studied whether Juice Plus could bridge the gap between what cancer survivors should and do eat. 51 stage 2 to stage 4 ovarian cancer survivors were randomized into 2 groups. One group followed the Women's Healthy Eating and Living Study diet, which included eating 10 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. The second group ate 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and they also got the fruit and vegetable Juice Plus and 1 complete shake every day. Both groups had increased levels of antioxidants such as carotenoids. Both stabilized key markers of cancer, and both reported having good quality of life. The Juice Plus group, however, the Juice Plus Complete group, however, had better protein status and better compliance. I mean, let's face it, it's hard to eat 10 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. And finally, I want to put the spotlight on one of the newest products in the Juice Plus lineup. Luminate is a low-sugar, gluten-free, powerful blend of plant-based nootropics and adaptogens. And what are these? Well, simply put, adaptogens are used to ease the effects of stress on the body, while nootropics are used to stimulate cognitive function. And because this is a new product, we are relying on studies done on the ingredients versus the actual product, but people are reporting enhanced mental clarity, increased mental energy, heightened alertness, improved working memory, and better focus and concentration in as little as 30 minutes after taking the product. And whatever happened to this little girl? Well, this little girl was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition at 6. The little girl who ate fruits and vegetables as a kid, thanks mom. The little girl who went on to compete on a ranked Division I gymnastics team despite a lot of injuries. A little girl who went on to be a registered dietitian that ate lots of fruits and vegetables, maintained an active lifestyle despite pain and allergies. Well, that little girl turned 58 in May. And a few years ago, she sat in a talk just like this and thought, what if? What if it really works? And at almost 50, this woman started with one simple change of a few capsules a day and eventually changed some other habits to improve her health span. She made exercise an almost daily priority, and she began to prioritize sleep. She eventually went from 43 years of never missing a day of taking psoriasis medications to using a fraction of the medications she once did. She no longer takes any allergy medicine. She had that knee replacement in 2021 and biked 20 miles 8 weeks later and skied 6 months later. That little girl with some wonky genetics feels better in her 50s than she did in her 30s and 40s. So I want to ask you, what does improving your health span look like? For me, it's the ability to spend time with my people. This is my family. The ability to hop on a water taxi and explore the cobblestone streets of Burano, walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, bike the streets of Belgium, explore castles in Lisbon, and zip line over the Costa Rican rainforest. It hasn't been at no cost. I've spent money, I've spent time, and I've made some sacrifices to support my health. But I look at these pics as an almost 60-year-old woman and know that most of this would be impossible if I didn't have my health. I want to leave you with a couple of slides, and I debated whether to put this one up because as a dietitian, I don't believe in labeling food as good or bad, and ultimately I do believe that all food can fit into a healthy lifestyle. But I think what I want to emphasize is that you are able to affect your health with the choices you make. And I also want to emphasize that it's not only a good thing to be your own health advocate, but it's vital to be your own health advocate because no one is going to care about your health as much as you do. And I'll end with, just stating that a health journey is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I would rather see people make one change that they can do most of the time forever than make 10 changes that will last 1 month, 6 months, or even a year. Because ultimately, these short-term changes aren't really going to impact a life. I challenge you to take a step, whether it's exercising more, getting enough sleep, eating more fruits and vegetables, or committing to adding Juice Plus to your daily diet. And with that, I'm going to stop my screen share and I am going to turn it back over to April.
Wow. I don't know what else to say, Kristen, but wow, that is hands down the most informative, one of the best things I have ever heard about health, nutrition, aging, and Juice Plus. Thank you so much. So what do we have now? I don't know about everybody else. I'm already eating Juice Plus, but I am so inspired. So if you are not eating Juice Plus and you are inspired, please reach out to the person who invited you here. There's no better time than now, right? We can't keep delaying. Just do it. If you're curious about Juice Plus and want to bridge the gap with what you're eating, again, please connect with the person who invited you here. And better yet, if there's somebody in your life that you feel would benefit from this, please share this information. We will make sure that this gets published on all of the chats where we posted the flyer. While you're sharing, there's also a business opportunity that you can make a little side money sharing Juice Plus. Again, please go back to the person who invited you here for that. Remember, sharing is caring. So please share what you've learned and go back and ask questions to whomever invited you. Thank you so much, Kristen. Does anybody have any questions that we could answer now? No? All right. Well, please be watching your Voxer chats. I promise.